Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 6, Episode 10 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Lidskin. If you are a loyal Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers listener, you're probably wondering why we're back so soon. Well, because we are joined by Ryan Hammer to preview his Maryland Terrapins. Jonathan, Ryan, how are you doing tonight?
Good. I'm excited. I love the Cole Adams introduction too.
Yeah, that's
That was
been
a great addition, I will say.
Yeah, it has really spiced up the beginning of the show. So, first thing, and Jonathan and I were talking about this last week. Just 2 minutes, get it all out about the Kevin Willard situation, the Buzz Williams hiring. Just get it all out.
I've got it out. I'm good. I'm not. I don't know. I have no words at this point. It's fine. It is what it is. Like, it's the business nature of the business, and I don't think it was handled well by Kevin Willard, his transition and whatever. I don't think anyone did, but I'll speak on the positive, I guess. In the short timing and the late in the process, I am surprised that they got Buzz and it actually moved so quickly, and I'm very satisfied with that. I think he's a really good short-term hire. I think he's really good for the culture. Long-term, I don't know like what the ceiling is of this team. I think any program that has had Buzz, like Marquette to A&M to now Maryland, like that, you can kind of tell that. But it is what it is. What am I supposed to say at this point?
Yeah, Maryland hiring Buzz Williams. Again, I don't know what they could have done that was better. Tony Skinn would have been a tremendous hire. He signed an extension at George Mason 2 days before Kevin Willard took the Villanova job. Dwayne Simpkins would probably be too big of a jump. Just 2 years an American, but obviously familiarity there. Maybe that's a long-term solution after Buzz leaves in 4 years, like he always does. What they always say is Buzz likes to recruit a class, graduate it, and then get out.
Fine with me.
Yeah, as long as he wins, it's fine. Like, I don't think A&M fans are mad at Buzz for leaving. I think they kind of understood what they were getting into. There is a little bit of mercenary game to what Buzz is. Marquette, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M, Maryland, 4 high major programs, 4 programs that he'll likely end up having success with at some level. But the other thing for me about Buzz Williams, the most important thing, is that everywhere he's gone, he's won differently. Like, he didn't, like, what we think of as Buzz Williams basketball wasn't what we thought of as Buzz Williams basketball 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Buzz Williams was obviously playing some pretty gross basketball at Texas A&M over the past few years with a lot of offensive rebounding and not a lot of shot making. 315th in effective field goal percentage is the worst block rate in the country. They can't make threes. They can't make free throws. They can't make layups. But they grab everything, and it doesn't matter. But that wasn't what Buzz Williams was doing at Virginia Tech. That team was 14th in the country in effective field goal percentage and the 9th best three-point shooting offense in the country. And that was also kind of what he did for the most part at the beginning of his time at Marquette. They hit a lot of threes. They took a bunch of threes. They were a really good passing team. They had Vander Blue and Darius Johnson-Odom. And then when he was at Virginia Tech and made 3 straight tournaments, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kerry Blackshear, Justin Robinson, a bunch of guys that could move the ball. All 3 of those guys had some pretty high assist rates for what they were asked to do. I mean, Blackshear is a big man, 17.3. Alexander Walker as a wing at 24. Robinson, obviously, a great passing guard. So we've seen Buzz Williams' teams morph over the years to fit the personnel. We haven't gotten into the personnel yet, but that's kind of where I want to go. What personnel will dictate how Buzz will play for Jonathan or for Ryan?
Ryan, you can start with this one.
Yeah, it's a good point about what you said. I don't think people think of Buzz Williams basketball. They think of shot chuck at the rim and crash the glass. And to be fair, it's kind of worked like a little bit, I guess. I think you're right. He's adaptable on what he has and what he can. I also think in the current landscape of the sport, he kind of built a system that like doesn't need the highest quality of players either. You just need a couple of guards that can kind of somewhat create a little bit, at least whatever. I don't think the team is drastically different style. I don't see a drastically different style from what he has done the last couple of years. I think it'll be a little more refined just because like they literally can't get over certain humps with the way they've been playing. And it won't be like that. And I question the outside shooting on this team also. And I don't know outside of a couple guys where it's going to come from. As a Maryland fan, I think I speak for every Maryland fan out there. This team has better depth than I can remember in Maryland teams. Like it's unbelievable. It's night and day compared to what Maryland fans have seen. So I think that's going to be a huge piece of it. And that's a huge piece of the Buzz Williams style. He got to work. The one thing that every Maryland fan will say is that they're happy Buzz brought his guys because Buzz, as everybody knows, is a massive culture guy. The guys that play for him love him. And even though it looks like hell sometimes, they love playing for him. That's why he brought over 4 or 5 of the A&M guys, give or take. And a few of them are the big contributors that were still available. So I think that speaks volumes. I was surprised he was able to get guys like Elijah Saunders, Miles Rice, Darius Adams was late process. I didn't see that coming. Same with Rakeem Passmore, who was kind of a pivot. But I was very pleasantly surprised at how he was able to recruit.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I think if this team hits its ceiling, it's Miles Rice playing in a much better style or much better system that's suited for him. Yeah, I didn't think that him going to Indiana was the absolute best decision in the world coming off the year he had at Washington State. But I think, depending on what Buzz does here, that could benefit him greatly. And then obviously, you have another Washington State guy as Isaiah Watts coming in. So I think those two, like Watts giving you scoring off the bench and Rice running the show for the first unit could be really integral in like how good this team is offensively.
Honestly, I don't even know if Watts comes off the bench. I love Isaiah Watts. I think
it depends how good Darius Adams.
Yeah, it will. But like, are we sure Isaiah Watts isn't like going to be one of the best players on this team? Like
the jump shooting is going to be the biggest thing for that because like Miles has struggled, has been hot and cold, and a lot of the bigs aren't going to be able to shoot. And Watts is probably on paper the best shooter on the team, so he's going to have to play a buck ton if he's not going to start, like you're saying. Darius has shot the ball well, also hasn't shot the ball well at times. So, like, that's a question mark that I very much hope projects well for him, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Watts is a career 36% outside shooter on pretty good volume.
Yeah.
Missed a lot of time last year. But, like, beginning of the season last year, before he went down, he was awesome. He scored 23 different times. He was consistent. Putting up good numbers, obviously struggled against Iowa, but Washington State offensively was so good, and I think he was a big part of that. Obviously, Coward at the beginning of the season was too. But I mean, I just loved that Washington State offense early in the season. I thought Watts was such a big part of it. And I also thought he was so good at times for them when he was a freshman down the stretch. He made the big shot against Drake. He came up big against USC. He came up big against Washington. He had some moments that year, and I think that he's ready to take a huge step. I think he also fights like hell defensively, and I think that'll get him on the floor because Darius Adams is a really skilled player, but he's really thin. I don't know if he's going to be physically and defensively ready to scale up on day one. Watts is going to come in, and I think Isaiah Watts is going to be a great player for this team. And then you get to the front court. These are 3 dudes that have great bodies that can play you physically. And then Saunders as a great shooter. So I like this front court. You get the 2 guys from A&M, and then one of my favorite kind of underrated sneaky pickups in Elijah Saunders.
Yeah. They're going to be defensively. They're going to be unbelievable, like genuinely. And that's another thing that Buzz teams usually do pretty well as long as they're schematically sound. But on paper, player by player, the guys you just went through, good defender, good defender, good defender, good defender, all over the place. It's the front court. They are gonna absolutely battle like they did last year like the A&M guys did last year for Buzz. But Miles is big also. He's a little slimmer, but I have no doubt that it should be a really, really good defensive team. I love Elijah Saunders also. I'm happy you mentioned him and his spacing ability too, because like he's strong as hell. He could play the 4 for sure and put him next to any of the 5s for Alpine or anybody, and it's gonna be nice. So,
Jonathan?
last year or the last couple of years, I should say, a stretch 4 wasn't even in like consideration at Texas A&M.
Yeah,
they didn't have that. They just played. I do think like I don't know how much I like Solomon Washington. Like, I think he's solid, but again, there's like no shooting there. I don't know how good he is as a 3. I think he's obviously much better as a 4. And I think that's where Rakeem Passmore comes into the equation as the kind of wing that can bridge you from the backcourt to the front court. This team doesn't have a ton of wings. It's a lot of combo guards.
Yeah.
Watts, Adams, Coet. I think all 3 of those guys profile as combo guards. I know Coet is a little small, but I think he still profiles as a combo guard. And then aside from like your freshmen that we don't really know anything about, and honestly, we don't know a ton about Passmore at the college level, but highly touted prospect that went to Kansas last year. He's kind of the bridge for this team. I think he's a huge X factor. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard not to. It's a lot of big question marks, like you said, and you hope that like offensively their shooting kind of swings, but he was really good he was a really good prospect coming out or recruit prospect coming out last year. I don't know. I'm 50-50. It's like you're saying, he's a huge X factor. Darius, how ready he's going to be is a huge X factor. Also, I think the young guys in general are probably the X factor, I would say, as a group, because one of them could be better than the next that you didn't expect, and you'd be fine. So
I think Passmore is like a better shooter than people probably realize, and I understand that he didn't really play that much at Kansas last year, but like that wing rotation was kind of set, and like if you watch his high school tape, his form and mechanics look pretty solid.
Yeah, and you can't forget about my New Jersey King, Dickie Coit. So
yeah, no, I can't forget about him. Again, as I said, I do think he's more of a combo guard than a point guard, even though he's 5'11", which will kind of limit what you can do with him. I think it limited what he could do at Kansas. I don't think it limited him at all at Northern Illinois because Illinois, and they didn't really win a lot anyway. But I think it was important for them to get a guy like that that's going to bring some bench scoring without a doubt.
He could be an X factor for sure. I could 100% see games going absolutely haywire, shooting the ball, and he comes in and just hits a couple and lights it up. Like, to your point, at the power level, I don't know how much he's going to be able to play consistently minute after minute and defensively, but I could see him being a huge X factor for the team.
Yeah, that's always been the thing with Dickie Coet at the high major level. He's going to be a Mike Reeves scorer. Come in.
Yeah.
You need kind of unleash this guy. He'll score 6 points in 4 minutes, 7 points in 5 minutes, 12 points in 9 minutes. Maybe he'll struggle if he plays 26 minutes and he'll score 11 points on 4 of 11 from the field. But like, okay, use him in moderation. You have bigger guards that can play a lot. Like, this is a good thing about this team. Like, Coet's the only guy who's under 6'3" on this roster. Del Pino, the kid they got in from Spain, is 6'4". So I do think that they have that going for them, a bigger roster. But
I think that like there's a world where like Coet can be like kind of what Chris Likes was for Arkansas in like 2022. Like, obviously you have no idea if this team's going to replicate the same success that team did, but like,
honestly, I think
in a vacuum.
That's not a terrible comp for like a play style type thing.
Like
guards that took a lot of shots.
Yeah. Likes had like a 104 O rating that year. That's fine.
Physical but good bigs. The other big to talk about, Colin Metcalf. Do you think obviously a little bit more of a rim presence, moving up a level? What do you think he gives differently than what Pharrell Payne will bring?
Pharrell Payne is just like I can't cuss on here, all right? Yeah. It's okay. Pharrell Payne is a monster. That's all. I was about to say something.
I think Pharrell Payne might be this team's best player.
I loved him at Minnesota, and I was like, when I saw Buzz coming, I was like, oh my god, Payne in the portal. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna be at Maryland. He was in the big. He's a monster. I think he's still wildly underrated. He can play more brutally through any strength of player. I think. How tall is Metcalf? Probably the same height, give or take. I don't have Pharrell Payne, I trust him more than any other front court player on the team, obviously. More than any player on the team, actually.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be the
Physically
guy.
imposing player.
He's crazy, dude. I love watching him. He's just he's a fucking monster. That's it. That's what I want to say for.
He looks like a football player, but he's like more skilled than you would think.
Exactly. He actually has decent touch. If you go back and watch Minnesota more, you see it a ton. You see it a ton there.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you think Metcalf brings off the bench?
Well, they're gonna go. Hold on. We were talking about the bigs before. He's probably, I guess, back up 5. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll probably just come in and play.
Him to play more than I wouldn't expect him to play more than 15 minutes, right?
I was gonna say 10,
15 minutes is an important amount of time.
Yeah, but you come in and shot block, you play hard, and then get out. Play 5 minutes and then get out. That's fine. That's what Buzz does. That's why they're so deep. They're going to be so deep. They're just going to throw guys in. You mentioned before about Diggy and a couple of the freshmen. Some guys have to go on heaters as a guard, as a big, come in and shot block and just battle and bang bodies. That's what Buzz likes to do. You just throw them in, and if it's going well, keep them in for a minute, and then if it's not, you just take them out and put someone else in. And that's what he's going to do.
He averaged 5 rebounds and 2.5 blocks in 21 minutes. He also
that's crazy.
He also averaged 3 fouls in those 21 minutes, but
he took 3 shots. He took 3 shots.
He's just gonna come in and be a bruiser.
Yeah. Of the freshmen, including the redshirters, Turkson, Mills, Harper, Alston, Delpino. Aside from Darius Adams, who do you think has the biggest impact?
I'm trying to look at I'm thinking about the roster also of the makeup, because I actually like Alston, but he's not gonna play a ton. I feel like Mills.
Probably
I don't know.
Probably not right away.
Yeah, no.
Sam, you know I've watched Alston a ton.
Yeah, no, I've watched him too a little bit because I had to watch a little bit of the tournament. I think it might be Turkson.
I was gonna say maybe Delpino, but I'm not confident in that.
I don't think there's minutes in that backcourt for Delpino.
There's not minutes. Where is there minutes then for anywhere for the young guys besides Darius?
Yeah,
guaranteed.
I think this team is pretty balanced depth-wise across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Delpino will play. I'll go with Delpino. Just a completely different skill set and different style he plays.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I think Turkson, just as a guy who's been in the system for a year,
it's fair.
Could kind of give them, if they want to go, if there's a little bit of foul trouble in that front court, and if someone goes down, I think that it would be easy to slide him in and say, hey, you know what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
What do we know about Maryland's non-conference schedule? I actually haven't looked at it.
They scheduled a 4-game series with Virginia today, right?
Love that. Schedule Duke now. I'm just kidding.
I want Duke to play Maryland.
Listen, the whole college basketball world wants it. Maryland says that Duke doesn't want it. Duke says that Maryland doesn't want it. Whatever.
My bet would be Maryland reaches out every year and Duke just doesn't. Duke's we have other things going on. Everybody thinks
Duke's called being scared.
Duke's every single team in the country thinks we're their biggest rival.
Yeah, it's true.
Dude,
and
I would love to play Maryland. As a Duke fan, I want to play them.
No, I think that would be a great game for college basketball.
Dude, my dad got yelled at in the bathroom at Maryland a long time ago when he went there.
I'm gonna make sure you tell it to Shire so he knows that your dad. Yeah, and then he'll do it. Yeah,
I will.
He goes to freaking Xfinity Center, wins, comes off the court, goes to the post-game press conference. That one was for Scott Litzkin.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Maryland is a Big Ten team, not an ACC team, but it felt like they were an ACC school for 61 years, right? I think it was 61 years.
Something I don't know how many. Yeah,
it just feels like the sport is missing something with them not playing Duke and Carolina and those teams.
They don't play any of them. Like they're gonna play Virginia now, but like they never play any of them realistically. They play Syracuse and Brooklyn every year. It feels like, and that's it.
Yeah,
No
that game's
slight
tough.
Syracuse.
Also, not an ACC team from that time.
Exactly the point. So it needs to be a school, DMV or Carolina or something like that. So
Yeah,
They're in real quick. They played Georgetown at home, Marquette on the road, and then they're in Players Era. And they play Coppin State on opening night.
At one day, come on, we have to. The Georgetown one, I love that too. That's awesome.
Yeah, when DMV teams playing each other is always cool.
Yeah,
it is. It's a really good area for basketball. Ryan, anything else to add about this team before we go?
No, it's going to be completely different for Maryland fans. Like I said, the depth and the intensity and the culture is something Maryland fans haven't seen or been able to appreciate for a long time. Like I back to Turgeon, beyond, etc. Like Maryland fans, especially young Maryland fans, haven't seen it in their life. So it'll be a very different thing that they can be prideful of. It will be frustrating at times, most likely their style, but they have a very, very good floor. And I think they're going to be a top 25 team.
What would you consider a successful season for Maryland basketball this year?
It's a great question. I don't care a ton about the Big Ten finish because there's just 90 teams in the Big Ten, as long as they're not like embarrassingly low and they don't lose like first day of like in the quarterfinals or before that, whatever it is in the Big Ten tournament. But being safely in the tournament, winning a tournament game, I'll say Sweet 16 is a successful year.
Wear home whites in the tournament, win a game.
Say that again.
Wear home whites in the tournament and win a game.
Sure. Sure. I think that's a standard of having an as expected year.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think that's the standard that like Buzz Williams kind of set at Texas A&M, and I see no reason why they can't do that this year. The Big Ten has a lot of good teams. I think it's probably going to be the best conference in college basketball this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Maryland kind of got buried down there, loses a bunch of tough ones and ends up as a 10 seed. But you can make the Sweet 16 as a 10 seed. Just ask Arkansas.
Yeah,
you can almost make the Elite Eight as a 10 seed. Well, you can make the Elite Eight as a 10 seed, but it just doesn't happen all that often.
The last thing I'll say about this is like, despite the fact that you change coaches and you got a later start in the portal stuff, like I truly believe that this Maryland team's floor is like really high. Like I struggle to see this team being bad.
Yeah, there's no way they are. People kind of have discounted them, and like once the whole Willard thing and saga and it just downfall right ahead of the Sweet 16, I legitimately think that people just completely put Maryland off their brain for this season, which was next season at the time. But the team is going to be good. There's no way they're bad, 100%.
Yeah, it's just we know the style that they can resort to if things do go bad. So like, they obviously have the personnel for that if they do want to play that way.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan, you want to take us home?
Yeah, if you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about Buzz Williams' teams jacking up shots and missing them, you came to the right place. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. This has been Season 6, Episode 10 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. We'll see you next time.